a fraction of a cent per message. On paper, scaling your customer communication looks incredibly cheap. But as you push higher volumes, that tiny rate can quietly trigger a budget crisis. When you start hitting 5 or 6 figures a day, the math changes. That advertised base rate is only the starting point, and it rarely reflects what you actually pay at the end of the month. Instead of simple multiplication, your costs are hit by compounding inefficiencies. Surcharges from local networks, fees for undelivered messages, and invisible formatting errors stack up. The businesses that keep their margins healthy at scale understand a crucial reality. High-volume messaging costs aren't determined by shopping for the lowest base rate. They are driven by structural leaks in the system, leaks that are entirely preventable. The first leak comes from the networks themselves. Most pricing pages highlight a clean, simple rate. What they leave in the fine print are the network-specific carrier surcharges layered on top, especially if you operate in heavily regulated markets like the US and Canada. Then you have phantom numbers. A user enters a landline by mistake, or a mobile line gets deactivated. When you send an SMS to one of these dead endpoints, your provider often still bills you for the delivery attempt. If you send a few thousand messages, paying for a handful of dead numbers is a rounding error. But scale that up to millions of messages a month, and you are generating a massive line item with zero return on investment. Your contact database is constantly degrading over time. If you don't actively manage it, that predictable per-message fee morphs into a compounding financial penalty for keeping that data. But the most deceptive leak doesn't come from dead numbers or carrier fees. It hides inside your message templates. Standard SMS uses GSM7 encoding. Stick to standard alphanumeric characters, and you get a full 160 characters per message. But add a single curly quote or an emoji, and the system silently switches to Unicode encoding, dropping your character limit to just 70. A 130-character text with one simple smiley face is suddenly billed as 2 separate messages. You've instantly doubled the cost of the entire campaign. Because this happens invisibly in the background, an unoptimized template will eat through half your messaging budget without ever triggering a warning from your provider. Modern enterprise SMS gateways counter these inefficiencies using automated infrastructure, starting with pre-send hygiene. Motion API's number lookup scans your database in milliseconds. It identifies and drops deactivated or ported lines before the message is ever sent. Once the list is clean, the system hands the data over to the gateway's routing brain, a mechanism known as Smart Least Cost Routing, or LCR. LCR dynamically evaluates all global carrier pathways in real time, selecting the most cost-effective route for every text. It categorizes traffic automatically. Batch notifications are routed economically, while time-critical alerts instantly take premium high-speed routes. By combining live database scrubbing with intelligent routing, you isolate and stop financial bleeding before the execution command is even processed. That technical efficiency has to be matched by regional compliance. Businesses need a dedicated sender number for the US and Canada, but providers often push complex setups with heavy vetting charges and hidden monthly campaign fees. Motion bypasses those layered fees by utilizing toll-free numbers. A TFN offers broad carrier acceptance and high throughput for a completely transparent flat rate of just $3 a month. Of course, taking advantage of a clean database and cheap routing requires an engine capable of pushing massive volume. Most developers start with a REST API, which is standard, flexible, and integrates quickly into modern web stacks. But when you are pushing hundreds of messages per second, standard web requests create too much overhead. For that, you need SMMP, a persistent, low-latency protocol designed specifically for heavy-duty delivery directly to carrier networks. Operating at true enterprise scale demands both ends of the spectrum, the financial predictability of flat-rate toll-free numbers and the raw technical muscle of an SMMP architecture. The final step in optimizing your spend is recognizing that not every message actually needs to be an SMS. You can divert heavy, media-rich, or non-critical messages to alternative, IP-based channels. By routing standard engagement content through platforms like WhatsApp, you reserve the traditional SMS network exclusively for compliance-critical alerts and one-time passwords, where guaranteed deliverability is non-negotiable. Intelligent scalability means abandoning the naive search for the lowest advertised rate. It requires granular control over routing, encoding, and global infrastructure. If you want to scale your operations without the budget shocks, partner with a provider built on an infrastructure-first foundation. Start your free trial with Motion API today and take control of your communication spend.